right, while we wait, Josh, were there any pending pages in the data overall from the Layer5.io site? We covered everything, right?
Yeah, I've added an issue for the projects one.
Great.
And regarding the older issues that are open, like, are all of them addressed?
Yes, that was what I planned on discussing on this one.
Okay.
I think all of them have somebody working on it. Like they have been assigned to people. I'm not very sure what the progress on each one of those was.
Many of them have not shown any progress for about 15 days.
Well, then I guess we have a decision to make. Should they be reassigned or should we wait?
The one regarding Suraj, I can like assure he would be doing it because he had a discussion over call with me like yesterday because he was facing some issues with like how to exactly like where to make a page, and also like he will take I think 1 or 2 days to do it. So
I guess it depends on the person to whom it's assigned. Yes, this is it. Does anybody remember any issue that has been stagnant for a while?
The main one was changing the pink color.
Um,
yeah,
yeah, who was working on that?
I guess Lee said he would be poking the contributor who was working on it.
Looking at you, Lee.
Yeah, let me pull up that issue. I'm trying to remember which one it is.
It's this one, I think, if my screen is visible.
Oh, did I poke the? I don't recall poking her. Did I say anything on the issue?
Let me check. Nope.
No. Okay. So this is a request to update the brand colors globally, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we should pull it. Like, hey, there's a ton of other issues for her to jump onto if she really wants to come back. My sense was when she first signed up was that she'd probably have a little bit of trouble identifying where it is globally and what was appropriate to change. So
I think it's defined pretty well here.
oh,
Couldn't be defined better.
I think changes in most places would in this folder. Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. So yeah, let's move on. It's fine. I mean, yeah, usually you'd want to. So when were they assigned? Usually you want to like poke them once or twice just to be
I think
nice.
27 days ago.
Oh, okay. So yeah, they were already poked a couple like once, and then Josh. Yeah, it's done. It's done. We're good. Let's move on.
All right. I'll give them a 12-hour notice. If they don't reply, we can
No,
reassign
you
it to
don't even
somebody.
need to. If somebody else can, that's great. If no one else is going to work on it anyway, do exactly what you just said. If somebody else is going to take it immediately, then don't bother. She's already been asked a few times. So
All right. Well, to people on this call, does anybody want to take this up? You have the first chance because, well, you're on the call.
and actually, I guess Chinwendu, did we welcome to the call? Oh, Chinwendu, did you get a chance to
Thank you.
introduce before?
Hello, thank you.
Oh, hi.
It's pronounced Chimendu.
Chinwendu, am I right?
Chimendu.
All right. Shinwendu. I think I'm going wrong here.
Okay,
Do correct me in the future if I'm
no
going wrong.
problem.
Rishikesh, have you had a chance to introduce yourself? Just moving on to the next person.
Yes, I introduce in the newcomers call also. I am a web developer. I work in mainly in Vue and React, and I contributed in the Layer 5 engine the repo.
Right. Khalid, I think you have had a chance, if I'm not wrong. Please do correct me if I am.
Sorry, could you repeat?
Have you had a chance to introduce yourself on any of the calls?
Yeah. I have introduced myself in the newcomers meeting as well.
All right. Okay, so this is to be assigned to somebody else. Moving on. Tanuj, you can go first. Tanuj?
Should I share my screen?
Yep, go ahead.
Is this visible?
Yeah.
Mostly everything is done. This color will be changed when the pink color will be changed. Apart from that, uh, I I wanted to know where to add the meshmate logo. Nikhil suggested adding it here itself and directing it to the meshmates page. Is that the best place to add it?
Yeah, good question. Well, it fits like visually that meshmate badge fits right there. An issue with putting it next to the other like profile links is that yeah, in many respects, I guess this is funny. I was going to say is that it's not a profile link, like it's a badge of something that a person does. But that said, actually, it is something of a profile link to the extent that each meshmate has, they have their profile on this website. So that's not entirely inappropriate. It would, in many respects, like I think the thing that I think if the meshmate badge was like overlaid on top of their image, on top of their picture, like off to the side, off to like the right-hand corner or left-hand corner or something like that, or if it was like in front of their name or behind their name, it might look like it's it
Maybe
might look
something like the Facebook locked picture kind of thing, in which the badge is at the lower bottom of the picture image, the feature image.
that way. It might look like it's a badge that they have. If you click it, it might make sense to take the user to the meshmates page that shows all meshmates.
Hey,
If
we can segregate them now. Like first of all, they will show all the mesh mates itself, and then they will show all the members. If it makes more sense, because uh, contacting them would make a better sense than contacting anyone randomly. Like have a
yeah,
first
you're right.
column for mesh mates and then second column for contributors, right?
Oh,
Considering we have a page for the measurement where we list all the measurements, that won't be a better thing. That would be too much limelight for the idea.
Or we can put the mesh mates who are there at the top, and then people who have less, like meshmates at the top, the people who have more contribution at the top, and then hierarchical wise, like one after the another.
So, Dhruv, did that make sense? Can whoever's sharing, can you navigate to is there a Meshmates page up now?
I was not necessarily talking about hierarchy, but okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Say it again, Dhruv.
No, it's cool. My initial thoughts are not about hierarchy, but yeah, sort of I said it in some way.
Yeah. So, Dhruv, one of the things I was trying to articulate was taking a long time to do. Might be something that you were about to say, which is if you're hovering over an individual's card, if you're clicking either GitHub, Twitter, or the Meshmate icon, you might not expect to be directed to a page with a bunch of profiles, rather just an individual profile. I mean, is that what you were saying?
Yeah, sort of.
And was another aspect to what? Yeah, okay. So that was actually going to be my point about if the Meshmate logo is adjacent to the other profile icons, GitHub and Twitter, then what we're doing is showing that we're treating it as another profile, which if when you click on the Meshmate logo, if it takes you to that individual's page here, so can who Josh, are you sharing? Is that who's sharing? Or Tanush?
I'm sharing.
Oh, Tanush, if you click on Dev's card, for example.
I have to make page.
Oh, okay. Okay, fair enough. But it would normally take us to a page that just that just has Dev, and so having the Meshmate icon direct to the individual's page would have the same effect as clicking on the card itself, which is not entirely unexpected behavior. I guess what I was trying to identify as you guys think through this is that the placement of the Meshmate logo has an effect on how people think of it. Do they think of it as a Meshmate's profile? If so, it does make some sense to have it next to the other profile icons, profile logos. If we're trying to convey that it's more of a badge that someone's wearing, then I think something that Shriti was saying was, I don't Facebook much, so I'm not entirely sure what that thing looks like, but it sounded about right.
A good demo would be from the link that Rishikesh sent on the chat.
Okay.
If somebody could click on it, whoever is sharing the screen.
And that's a badge in the upper left-hand corner, but sounds like it could be moved to.
Yeah, not exactly. Scroll down, please. Further. Yep. A little bit up. Yep.
Badge alignment section.
Yep. A little bit down. Yep. See the little squares and the circles with the pink dot?
Yeah.
So basically the pink dot would be at the bottom part of the image, centralized, sort of like a badge instead of a logo.
So I'm gonna be quiet because
It's just a suggestion. Anybody please feel free to do the same.
I joined late, so can anyone give me a context?
Sure. Can who was sharing the screen? Tanuj, could you go back to the game? So basically, we need to add a meshmate badge to the community members' profile, the cards. So we're basically
Meshmate.
discussing, yep, the meshmate
So,
program.
are you talking about the Meshmate logo?
No, the meshmate logo. So the meshmate program came up with a logo in the 2 days back, I think, and we need to add it to the profile card. So we're discussing which position would be a good idea to add it to.
Okay.
All right.
It depends on what the badge represents. Like, what would the Meshmate badge represent?
That they are a meshmate.
Then why link it to every individual's profile and instead put it as a complete background instead?
That is a suggestion.
Well,
Yeah,
that's not user specific, right? Like if it is user specific, you could keep it in each person's profile, so it links to a different URL or something. But if it's a common thing, then simply keep it as a background or something that's a common thing.
by user specific, I guess it is user specific then, because there are only 7 meshmates at the current time. But yeah, that's a good idea. Keeping it as the background. Is anybody else?
Yeah, hey guys, let me share for just a moment to help as you think it through. Is there's a hopefully a short blog post that we'll be getting out hopefully later today that will be sharing a similar announcement that we had made a community meeting or two ago about Tanuj and Kaleche and Ruth becoming meshmates. And so a small graphic was made to help with that announcement. And as part of that, it'd been a long time coming, but we finally arrived at a logo for the Meshmate program. And this is the logo.
Okay.
This logo is actually, I'm going to share my whole screen for just a minute. If you play around inside of Slack, we're on the website's call, that we could, I know the screen might be a little bit small for some of you, but there's a new custom emoji. So it's just kind of loading.
Okay, so it's like a badge that represents that this person is a matchmate.
Well, yeah, and so here let's take a look at the current site, because in Anirudh, I think it is as you just described. Like, hey, here's the current badges on the current site. There are, when you look at the community overall, you can see that we have all the same members, and there's a few things that we're trying to convey here. One is that there are some members who've been here. Anand was here for a long time, and he sort of slowly transitioned onto other things, and has more or less become inactive. He can always come back and start doing things, and his card should turn back to green. So we're trying to convey the fact that we appreciate anything that a member has ever done, and so that we have their card for all time, so to speak, but we represent whether or not they're currently active or inactive. There's a collection of individuals that have become a meshmate, meaning that they're mentors in a community onboarding program, and that with it bears the responsibility of bears the responsibility of being a meshmate, all the things that they do. And so of those currently 7 people, they are listed in a separate Meshmates area that sort of describes the program. And now that we finally have a logo, the thought was, or the thought is that, yeah, that we can show that logo on their profile somewhere. And the question right now is, all right, well, so like one suggestion is, great, well, so that could just be another logo next to any existing, it's sort of another profile that they have. They have a GitHub profile, they have a Twitter profile, they have a Meshmate profile. Right now, the Meshmate profile, or the profiles that every member has, relatively pretty concise. It might be that particularly for Meshmates in the future that we would open up with a small paragraph, a descriptor of who they are and things that they do. In that sense, this page, this Meshmate page, is something of a profile page. The other way of kind of thinking about the logo is as something of a, well, like, hey, at some point we might send Meshmates a jacket or a shirt or something. It would have the logo embroidered on it. And so in some respects, it's kind of a sort of a badge that they wear, or like it's a response, it's a duty, they're part of a group of only 7 people. 7 people in the world that are anyway. So yeah, it kind of fits as both, and that's sort of the
So how about using a stylized card with Meshmate logo as the background for the card, and have it like it would be like a special position. Like these, you could have it sorted a group sorted in a group wise. So first you have Meshmates with the specialized card, and on top of that they have their own picture. So as how this image is similar, yeah, I guess something similar. So you can have a stylized card on the Meshmate, and then you have the active members sorted alphabetically. Then you have the inactive members sorted alphabetically. But these stylized card only for the Meshmates, and static or a similar card for active and inactive, or whatever the design schema is.
yeah, I'm pretty positive on what you're suggesting. I think so. Dhruv, were you saying sort of conscientiously you do not think well of the separation and sort of the creation of a hierarchy?
Generally, I don't, but yeah, if everyone is on board, then I don't mind it. It's not a bad thing.
Yep. There's even if so in some respects, like kind of part of the both of those two missions can be potentially accomplished. One is that if there is a separate page for Meshmates, there is a special call out happening here, and sort of a special section, a special grouping of the individuals that are within that program. And the fact that they're on a separate page does sort of elevate and highlight these individuals and the time and the effort that they give to the community. But since they're on their own page, it doesn't necessarily create a hierarchy in that sense. You know what I mean? Because elitism, or that the sense of elitism can be a little, if you do it too much, it can be a little snooty and a little off-putting to others. And so a way that you might be able to do it, you still want to recognize the fact that they're putting in quite a bit of work, like so to Anirudh's point, like a way of achieving that is to not necessarily, is to highlight that on their card. And one of the ways in which you could do that is to colorize the card itself differently. In this case, maybe you would just leave everyone alphabetically ordered, but if it so happened that this individual is in that program, that you could stylize it in the fashion in which Anirudh was is saying. That might be kind of a nice blend between, you know, not creating a hierarchy, but when you get to that person, just highlighting the fact that they actually do a bit extra. That might, you know. And so, go ahead.
Yeah. So what I was thinking is that to take both of the points, that adding a background card, especially for the mesh. So we can do that, but we can add that card in the meshmate page, the program page, which will we have. We can display it like that in that page itself. And in the members page, we can have a badge like GitHub and Twitter icon that we have. We can display it like that for the members page. That
Oh, and
way,
just
both of the aspects will be displayed.
got it, Nikhil. And so to repeat what you'd said, like, hey, within the larger catalog of members, there would be a small differentiator, and it would be, you know, take the shape of another one of these links.
Yeah.
And the card would look, it would be other than that, the card would be stylized the same. When you do go to the program though, you would see that there is, you know, special marking. And
Yeah.
the nice thing
We
about
can,
Ani,
yeah. Go ahead.
the nice thing about Anirudh's suggestion is that, or you can kind of see it in action on the card here, is like, you know, for example, if the Meshmate logo was used as I actually tried using the Meshmate logo as the background behind the image or behind the profile. And it's a great, I mean, I think it's such a great suggestion. I tried to do that from the start, but what ended up happening was I don't know, it might actually work. It might work, or any number of designs might work. This particular thing doesn't need to be approved by me. I was just trying to help facilitate the conversation. The last thing that I'll drop into the conversation here is that it might be that over time, the meshmate designation isn't, well, for sure, it won't be the only designator. Eventually, there will be another program similar to this, but it would be even more snooty, if you will. I mean, I don't consider that we're being snooty here. I consider that we're praising and thanking and elevating people for the selflessness that they do by spending the time doing the things that they're doing. Anyway, the other program would be called Mesh Master, most likely. These individuals would be recognized for their service mesh specific knowledge. So they'd be a service mesh master. And the logo, there's a design for it now, and it actually fills in this space right here. This space, it sort of fills it in with, it's the same design except with more doodads, more flair, if you will. Even aside from Meshmate and Meshmaster, it might be that you all continue to think on this and eventually say, well, hey, wouldn't it be nice if at some point, there are some of you in the community who have taken on other roles. And I'm not sure if those are some of those are. So VJ, he's a meshmate and he's a contributor. Nikhil, he's a meshmate. He's also a maintainer. Nikhil's shown himself to be quite resilient over the last year and whatever, and has earned the trust and the respect of all that I've seen come through here, including mine. And so he's empowered with to make decisions on this site and the other projects and things. And so I guess my point is, it might be at some point that I'm trying to think of there are individuals here who are maintainers, but who are not meshmates. And so it might be that you all at some point consider, hey, maybe there should be a designation for a maintainer. And maybe it has a logo or maybe it doesn't, but maybe there's just some flair, if you will, a badge or something. And maybe there's some, and you kind of see where I'm going with this, is that, you know, maybe they're the top contributor of the month by way of commits, or what, whatever those things are. Think about that as you discuss this. And it's not like, Dhruv has what I consider to be a really important thing to consider as you're thinking about it. Is it's hard. It's something hard to balance. It's, yes, part of the reason that, as Tanuj, I'm going to pick on him, as he has put in time to help others, to help the community, to do the onboarding of others, and to do the things that are required of a meshmate. I think that should be recognized, that should be called out. And if we can make a logo, and if we can highlight that, I think that it's, his efforts are at least as deserving as that, and I hope that it helps I hope that it helps him by way of the experience that he gains, the friendships that he makes, and the additional resume item that he puts on there, saying that he's been participating in this public program as a mentor of newcomers, etc. And yes, inevitably, somewhere in there, I actually also hope that, as Anisat, I was just picking on you, is as you're looking at that, and you're seeing that, Ruth or Kaleche or whomever you're looking at is a meshmate, and you're thinking, dang, that's a nice looking card. Look at that logo. That looks sweet. And geez, they keep talking about these people, and they keep elevating the things that they're doing. I might like to be a meshmate. Like yes, it's a delicate balance, but actually, I think that it's very intentional that we would want to, that it should look so good as to not necessarily make people, envy is got kind of a negative connotation to it, but to make people show some respect, or to be desirous of having some similar things, or to working equally as hard. And it's kind of part of it's not to be elitist, but it's just to uplift the good things that people are doing. And if it so happens that others want for that because it looks so fantastic, because you guys are designing it to look so fantastic, then that's a good thing. I want for people to come over and say, hey, can you tell me more about the program? Like how do I become one of those? And guess what? People have already asked that. And that's fantastic. We readily tell them and hope that they aspire to being one, because we need a few more. So.
All right. Moving on, because the time is really short and we've lost about 40 minutes. Tanuj, I hope your question or discussion was answered.
Yeah.
Great. Moving on, Vinayak, do you want to take this up?
Hello.
Hey.
Okay, so basically I've contributed to two pages till now. First one is the GSOC page, and the second one is the carriers page. In the carriers page, currently we require the different internship pages to be made. There are 6 internship paths and 3 internship paths and 3 full-time opportunities path. So basically that issue is currently not listed as an issue in the repository.
Are you sure? I think it is.
I'm not sure. I think it was. It is not listed as of now, I think. Wait, let me check.
Um, All right. So is your question that whether it should be listed?
Yes, basically, I don't have experience with making like uh, links within links with Gatsby. So I don't know if I can like pick this issue myself.
All right. Uh, Josh or Tanuj, could you say something here?
Can you repeat what you are asking? Vinayak,
Vinayak? Yeah, go.
Yeah, base.
Vinayak,
Yeah,
yeah,
basically, I'm saying that I don't have experience with making like inside links, and this carrier page requires that.
okay. Uh, Let me check.
I think for inside links we'll have to make something similar to like dynamic or something like that.
Let me share my screen. Where should the links be?
Basically, in the original Layer5.io site, I think we have different pages for each internship path. Like
Yeah,
digital
we do.
marketing internship has a different page.
Can you give me a quick context on what do you mean by you said inside links, right? So what do you mean by that?
Yeah, basically, I'm able to like make the first link. Like, if, for example, like in the pages section, I am able to like make a JS file named as carriers, so it leads to the carriers page. But I'm not able to like build over on it, like carriers slash digital marketing internship.
Okay, so that's more on routing. So it's exact path and relative path. So have like ping me on Slack after this call if you still don't understand it, right? So the thing here is when you have to handle routing, and in Gatsby, what in Gatsby the pages folder handles the routing itself. So you can configure that separately, but there are ways you can even do it in a hierarchy. So I'll give you a quick example. I guess I'll ping you on Slack, or I'll just put it in the Zoom group chat, so you can actually get a better understanding.
Okay,
Uh,
thank you.
Actually, for that, don't we want to have these uh, internships as dynamic as it is in blogs part or the news part,
Yeah,
where you
exactly. I was saying the same thing.
so that it's easier to just create an MD file and have an instead of all every time creating index dot a JS file and writing JSX.
Yes, I guess that would be like much better to like even on the perspective of like updating the page in terms of styling or in terms of the text it contains.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds better.
Similar question I had about the programs part. Do we keep the programs part also dynamic, or should they be uh, static, like uh, in the JS file, or should it be MD files?
I think it should be MD files because again, the program details might have to be changed at some point.
Okay.
You can have a so there is a routing doc for Gatsby. You can have a look at the example they mentioned. So you just create a folder, and inside that folder, you create index.js. It will be a main rendering, and you can create other files that will be used as a sub link of that main root link. So you just read the example. You'll get a better understanding on that.
Okay, I will check with it.
Apart
All
from
right. Go on.
like, nothing.
All right. did we decide on whether to go with JS files or MD files?
I think MD files would be the best option.
Okay. Great then. Vinay, does that answer your question?
Yes, that answers my question.
Great. All right, moving on to Rishikesh.
Yes.
Uh, did you want to speak about the GSOT page?
No, it is done. I want to speak out that I ran Lighthouse on the site, so it is showing very low performance currently, only 45.
Can you please share the like data or something so like we can improve on those?
Can someone run the Lighthouse right now on the URL, whichever is talking about?
I also ran Lighthouse. I think the main problems are that many of the links are broken, so it is affecting the, and there are all tags missing, which will,
Yeah, I get that
those
issue.
are the,
That's a very, very, very common issue. Even in the old website of Layer5, you have a couple of broken links that still haven't been fixed yet. There's an issue. So here in Netlify, it's not given hosting fast enough, but still, you can actually check all the what the issues are. Lighthouse gives you performance stats as well as all the accessibility and remaining stats. So create a doc if you would. Otherwise, anyone can run Lighthouse on any website. Just use the dev console. That's it.
All right. Anirudh, do you want Rishikesh to make the doc? I'm not
What do you mean? Which doc? So yeah,
highlighting the broken links.
um, for broken links, I guess there's already an a PR or issue I've actually created on GitHub. I know it's solved yet or not. I've lost track of it. So someone might have closed it because there are a lot of broken links. There's a website through which you can check for broken links. So run that, create an issue if you can, and obviously assign it to yourself and get it done because obviously you can't find tasks for everything. Everyone is busy now. So if you can, it's great if you could simply create the issue, assign yourself to the PR, and send the PR and mention anyone in the layer 5 NG team, and hopefully they'll get it merged.
All right. Rishikesh, does that answer your question?
Yes.
Great. All right, moving on. Josh, do you want to talk about the tooltip?
Yes, like it's nothing, just nothing much, but as Nikhil had suggested a few tweaks, so I had just tried them and like I updated. So can you just open the preview for that?
Yep, doing that.
So like Nikhil, I had tried another color because of the background and the title. So Shruti, can you move to the blogs page?
Yep.
Yeah. So like I have tried green with blue because of the title, and everywhere we do have blue. So like, does this look good, or I should migrate to the color that you have stated in your comment?
Just for
I
context, which color was that?
I don't remember the name, but
the color is the layer 5 brand page. You can see the one in which the layer is written in the
Okay.
logo.
Gotcha.
So means uh, I think the color which I mentioned would look better because I tried it on my local, but currently I'm not able to see that. Means the page has expired, has been reloaded. So I just tried it on the inspector. So the thing is, I prefer that color. Means it will look much better, and I guess we will be moving with ahead with the blue color to a different color, right?
okay, then I'll just change the color. It's like uh, everything else is sorted, I guess. Like I've changed the icons and the spacing and all the other things. So like,
One other issue that I noticed,
if you hover on the first button, the grid one, yeah, you see a border around the button, which is from the buttons, which is getting there. I noticed it just before the call.
Okay, so are you talking about the text around the text box?
Yeah, around the grid view
Yeah.
tooltip, which
Okay,
is
okay.
coming up.
Yeah, I got it.
And also, instead of turning the, I mean, switching the color to gray, if it can be switched to green like the previous one. Means switching it to gray doesn't look so good to me. That's my view. I don't know. Having it green itself would be better. Means turning it to the switching the color basically.
Yeah, definitely. Like I'll just change the colors and like I'll ask for in a comment and like you can review over there.
Sure. And
Great.
also, does a border radius make sense over here, or having it square would be good?
I think a little border radius would be great, but I don't know, like it looks too pokey or too pointed.
I think it looks good without the border too.
Okay, we have mixed reviews. You can provide a screenshot of both, I guess, in the website channel. We can decide on that.
Is that okay, Josh?
Yeah.
Right, thank you. All right, I think we're down to the last one. Dhruv, do you want to explain this one?
Yeah, actually, I wanted to just have a talk about while I was deploying it. The thing is, can we have? I have two options. I can either pull the Strappy image itself and make the deployment, or I could, like, we could have a private Strappy repo itself, and we can use that to run the Strappy deployment. I think the latter one would be more preferable if someone wants to debug it themselves in future. So I just wanted to ask if I should go with that or Docker image.
Lee, I think this one's for you.
And Drew, do you know, so we will have certain configurations that we'll want to apply if we were deploying a Docker image. And those will be externalized. And we would persist those somewhere.
Yeah.
Like in some respects, even though, I mean, like if we went that route, we would probably persist those settings in a file in the Layer5 repo, even though it's not part of the site the website directly. It's just part of the.
No, the secrets would be in the server, right? Not on the even the private GitHub files. That's what you're asking.
Right. We need to. I my if I didn't have any other data points, I'd probably go with what you just suggested, which is, which gives us a little more flexibility. It's not that much more trouble to have to the part of the trouble, or I guess the little bit of extra trouble is at some point you'll need to upgrade the version of Strappy that you're running. If you have a fork or like a private fork, you'll perform a certain process. If you have a Docker image, you'll perform, you'll move to a new tag. Do you have a sense of whether or not there might be areas of customization that we would go after that would really lend themselves better to having a private repo or to having a repo?
Like, I think in general, a private repo is a good idea, but I don't have anything specific for which I would tell that we certainly need this.
Yeah. Well, let's go with your gut. I mean, there's there's a bunch of benefits in terms of like being able to customize things and having full control over what you want to do, which might end up being the case in the future if the RBAC that you get in open source doesn't quite meet our needs or something. If we we have the ability to change some things, and if it's the overhead of that motion as opposed to just simply deploying a Docker image. If the overhead of the other motion is more of a one-time overhead of just sort of one-time establishing a repo, one-time establishing GitHub action that publishes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sounds like a good
So I guess,
suggestion to me.
okay, sure. Then I will go ahead with that, making a different private repo.
Nice.
Okay,
All
that
right.
was it on my part.
Lee, go ahead.
You know, let's skip over. Mine can wait for a little while, since Harishikesh is here and has a few topics. Let's skip to his.
All right. Rishikesh, you want to explain this one? I think you typed this in the chat.
Yes, when we transit from one page to another, so there is some because it is a asynchronous, we are fetching the data, so we can add some preloaders, so that will be nice for UX part, because it just time will show that data is loading.
Yeah, actually we are not fetching the data. What Gatsby does it fetches all the data during build time and creates static pages. So basically all are static pages when it is deployed. So none of the pages fetches data when we load it.
Okay.
Yep. That's it. Lee, if you like to go ahead with this.
Yeah, it was actually, it's well, kind of funny because Harishikesh more or less brought up sort of a similar concern, and that is page speed is and load time quite important for user experience, also quite important for page rank or domain rank. And at some point, you know, as we are, I'm not sure if we're like midway through migration, we're somewhere in there. We're going to want to get really specific about whether or not there's any links that were, any content that we're missing or links that we didn't account for, or maybe just part of that is also doing the diligence of understanding that, hey, yes, all the content was migrated, but actually it turns out there's a bunch of broken links from referring sites that are pointing to URLs that don't exist anymore. And so the topic I was going to bring up is kind of a related one of leveraging something like, in part, what Anirudh had brought up with the dead link checker. That's something that we should, you know, look into automating, actually, like to be able to run with some frequency and highlight where we have dead links. Another tool in that same, in a similar tool bag, a bigger one, is Google Analytics. A couple of topics. One is anyone who wants to have access to the site's Google Analytics, let's do that. We can get you access to that, so you can understand the demographics and how many people are looking at the work that you're doing, and, you know, et cetera. A lot of things to look at, pretty interesting. One of those things to look at is all the 404s, all the dead links. So I guess maybe the call here is to send a message in the website's channel if you're interested in taking a look. Yep. So Josh is interested in taking a look at the Google Analytics. And then I think as each of you sift through it, you are likely to come back with a couple different things. One, here's something that we can use to track, to determine whether or not we're totally migrated. Two, here's a bunch of referring links that like don't even work today. So we need to make sure that we've got redirects for them, like that the catch-all that we have works. And I'm sure there's a host of other things. So some of that will just be like, in time, getting pretty nitty gritty about performance tuning. whether we're loading JavaScript at the start of the page or the end of the page, whether we're using 10 style sheets or just one, or maybe the build process by which we're creating the production build of the site. Is it skinny enough? Is it efficient enough? Some of you, I'm hoping a lot of you would learn things as we go through this. It would also be questions like, well, we're hosting on GitHub Pages right now. Do they have the right edge-based caching that is going to deliver, can we spread the content out? Should we use something like Cloudflare or Akamai or NS1 or something else to really get, it's just a bunch of there's a bunch of interesting things to go through. So signal if you'd like access to Google Analytics, and we can start to explore. So Josh, you're on the list. I think one or two of you already have access, but
I think Ishika had access, if I'm not wrong.
Oh, say it again.
I think Ishika had access. Ishika Kumar.
Yeah. Yep, that's right.
Yeah, so I think I had a question like regarding the links that we are currently catering to pages like GSOC or GSOC. They are currently like the site URL / GSOC. But like, are they to be done something like URL / carriers / GSOC?
Those are just temporary URLs to so that we could check in the Netlify deployment.
Okay, and one more thing was like regarding the sitemap, like there was a talk in the meeting 2 to 3 meetings prior when Nikhil had come up with another sitemap. So like do we have like, can we just compare it with what currently we do have and what things we like have, like what things we have to still improve in it?
Just one question. Is this something because of the Netlify deploy or?
No, actually this page won't exist. This URL won't exist. So we just created this URL so that we could check the site in the Netlify deployment.
Gotcha. All right. Nikhil, could you share the new layout of the site? It'll be easier to compare.
Actually, the thing was, means I presented an idea to the update, but then Shivai was working on that part to bring up with that. But I guess there hasn't been any new update from Shivai. It's on the call.
No.
So we were waiting for his input. So I guess he changed few of the things in the navbar. Then we were waiting as we shifted, means added new data, shifted from the old side to the new side. We'll be changing the navbar according to it.
All right. Okay. I'll ask Shivai. I'll catch up with Shivai on this. Perhaps he could come on to the next meeting and explain.
Yeah, I wouldn't. He's not gonna. He may come back, but I don't think it'll be for a while. So we shouldn't hold up on Shivai. As a matter of fact, there's one issue with the mega menu that.
Yeah, I have to address that.
Good. I didn't even have to say it.
Actually, I noticed that issue much earlier, but I thought maybe it was like that, so I didn't point it out.
All right. Ikurum, if you're still on call, you can introduce yourself. I'm sorry we missed out on you at the beginning. Are you on call? Oh, looks right. Well, I guess we missed him. All right, that's it. Thank you for coming on, everybody. About this, I think we were on a template. If Josh is still on call.
Yeah, can you just repeat? I just like missed the.
Yeah, no point. So Rishikesh asked about the events page, I think. You were creating a template for that, right? So that the files could be added in a markdown format?
No, not the events page. Like I just asked if we could have something like that, because that would be very, like, we are generally preferring that format for pages that are built dynamically. So I think we'll have it very, like, if we make it a folder under the collections, and then we could have very easy to add new and update things in that.
I think we should create one for the events page.
Yeah, so like if he isn't like, if he wants to take it out, I don't have an issue, but if like he wants me to take it, then yeah, I can just do that.
All right, let's discuss this in Slack then. I think he's left the call. Great.
There
See
is
you
a
next call.
markdown renderer if you want to render markdown. Yeah.
It's already configured.
Okay, then that's not, I guess that's for sure no problem.
All right, let's follow this up in Slack. Thank you for coming on, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Shruti. See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.